Can we see some horses in action?
Definitely, I'll go and get some tack. So we saw Storm earlier on. As I said, he's doing his first season now of eventing and taking to it really quite well. He was quite unsure when he first went cross country, but actually now he's getting to grips with it all and remembers it's just the same as whatever we do in the arena is the same wherever we go. He's actually getting pretty confident. When you see him like outside and under tack, he's impressive looking anyway, but he's quite a striking horse. This is one of Dan's bridles, as we said earlier on about Henry James. Storm goes in a grackle. Now, I should know for the video, but I think this is the comfort headpiece with the extra padding and the release sort of area of pressure for the pole. And he's just fairly recently gone into a loose ring snaffle. He was originally, when we broke him in, did his early education in a full cheek snaffle, which I think are really good bits when they're younger, because you've just got a bit more support on the side of their faces for turning. Hang on. And then actually, as he then got a little bit older, he started to not get set on the hand, but almost then just become a little bit sort of fixed in a way. And obviously being a fixed ring bit, it didn't have as much mobility in the mouth, whereas going to the loose ring has just given us a bit more, or a lot more conversation, and actually we're finding a more correct self-carriage now and a more consistent contact, because there's not so much of a stillness in the mouth. There's a bit more movement with the loose ring bit, which he really seems to like now he's matured a bit. So yeah, so Storm's 5 this year. We broke him in last year. And he'd be more of an anxious type, so he'd be more sensitive to noises and things changing in the distance than maybe another horse might. But I think it makes him a little bit sharper and more sensitive in a good way, as long as you can just keep him relaxed rather than letting that extra sensitivity cause him to be worried about the environment or a scenario. I've just got to be quite careful with him as well, because he's quite wobbly as he's still young. But when I'm turning, I'm not losing my outside shoulder, and I'm not letting loads of neck bend creep in, and I'm making sure that my hands are just supporting him on his journey, not doing things they shouldn't be, not steering him and not allowing him to just sit on them by keeping a communication through my fingertips and channeling him with my legs and using my weight aid to the direction I want to go. So I'm always just trying to hold his hand on the end of the rein to, like I said, support him on his journey and make sure as much of it as possible is coming from my seat and my legs through to the contact. Good boy, good boy. Like you can see there, he came past the door. It's obviously just been closed by Fleur there, and he noticed that, and that made him a bit worried, but we just try and stay the same as we can in our riding so they realise that we're not worried and then they're not worried. And actually to break in, he was a really good horse to break in, really trusting of us. We just had to make sure that when he was worried about something, we just made him feel like he was a really clever boy and gave him lots of fuss and praise. And like there, you know, there's builders working on the house outside the arena. So he's got his eye and ears on the grinder going, or the drills. And he's got a big canter, which is forward, which is the main thing. Sometimes it's not always straight, but when they're young, all we're ever trying to do is go forward and straight, and then everything else can come from there. And if I was to try and collect this canter, I'd probably end up breaking to trot. So for the moment, I just leave it where he's comfortable. And then as he matures, we can ask for a few more gear changes and start to put a bit more emphasis on sitting on the hind leg, which he can do a bit now. Like there already, he's just settling a little bit more. And I think as well, it's his first canter of the day, so just let it go forward and let him just settle into it, and then make some gear changes later on. He hasn't got to be perfectly on the button yet, and he's only in his 5-year-old year, so he shouldn't be perfectly on the button yet either. Just needs to be doing his best to listen and just go, like I said earlier, just forward and straight, and then everything else just gently comes from there. Yeah, so put my right leg on there, and then just really trying to support the canter with my posture, an even contact, spooking at the gate. So I'm just going to make sure I'm sitting tall enough on him, not gripping with my knee, wrapping my legs around him to try and channel him on his journey. And if a rein gets heavy, I'm trying to give and take that rein so it doesn't stay heavy, and I'm encouraging him to find his self-carriage. And like all these things that he's spooking at, it's just growing up, isn't it? I can't stop him from spooking. All I can do is stay the same in my riding, so he realises that I'm not scared of whatever he's scared of. And then he realises that actually it's probably not a problem, so he can notice these things, but he doesn't need to worry about them because Hopefully I'm not worrying about them. Right there, he's trying to fall in, so I've just got my right leg pushing him straight and just trying to provide him with a really equal contact to go and find. And again, just trying to give him a loose rein here and there for a split second to see if he's going to fall apart or if he'll keep his balance. Good boy. Good boy. Looking at the gate, so I'm just going to keep my left leg on and flex him away from the gate a little bit. Put my right leg on so I don't lose the shoulder. And then consciously keep my legs hugging as I walk. So he's feeling like he's still between the leg and hand. So we did a grid work exercise for a few groups of people the other day, and they all did it better than Storm. But the idea is that you have canter poles and bounces and all kinds of things that aren't big, but they're just set out in a way that encourages the horses to think about their straightness and their self-carriage, the quality of their paces. These poles are set at canter distance, but coming in a trot is absolutely fine, because then he's going to be able to build up to the canter. My main job with him in doing things like this is to make sure I don't get too supportive on the rein. I want to be there, but I don't want to be too strong because I need him to use his head and neck. Oh, I need him to balance himself, because then when I get to a jump and we're not on a perfect stride, and we're not on a perfect stride, then hopefully he'll have learned to adjust for himself rather than me accidentally trying to always give him a perfect shot, which inherently we're never going to be able to give him a perfect shot, so they are going to have their own thoughts on life as well. And he's quite a forward horse, so if I came to this in canter the first time and he was already being lucky in a trot, that would have only knocked his confidence, because I'd have been coming faster and he'd have had less time to deal with it and figure it out, and more likely to just stop than go, oh okay, I've seen it now, I can jump it. So trot is brilliant because it slows everything down and it helps them think about their technique, rather than just doing it because of momentum and no technique. And I think as well for the event horses, it's really important that they can just jump from trot. So there he wants to lean on me a bit, so I'm trying to be soft in my hand, keep my body up. And like, this is a really simple exercise, like he's not jumping a big jump, but what he is doing is having a place pole on the way in, so he gets a bit of an idea of where to put his feet, and then he's got a place pole on the way out, which isn't really being utilised at the moment. So probably from my point of view as a rider, I've just got to put my left leg there a lot more, and we're probably also going towards the gate and napping slightly. So I'll come again and just see if I can have a bit more presence with my left leg, not to kick him, but just to support him and just ask him to stay straight. And I actually got over the pole that time. Now, because he's done that really well, he's not been worried about the fillers going in, I'm probably then in a good place to come in the canter. But I want to come in a canter that feels like I'm trotting, and there we go. So we're trotting. And again, it doesn't matter. Like, I'd rather he comes to the trot at this age and jumps than sort of comes in the canter and just uses momentum to deal with it. All too often, cross country, you'll put a trot step in and then you'll end up jumping your fence sometimes if it's muddy or slippery. And he's just deciding to come back to the trot. So I've got to see if I can have a little bit more connection with my leg. So we'll have another go and we'll see if we can just keep the straightness and see if we can just pop it from a nice quiet canter, but going at the same speed as if we were trotting. I've got to wait, be patient. Good boy. Oh, we landed rightly, then we went left, and then we spooked. Be patient, don't go long, because he's already quite forward thinking. So I don't want to join in that and encourage him to go any more forward. I just need to keep him relaxed and just cantering quietly. Good boy. And again, just be relaxed. Deep. That was quite a deep shot, which is why we had it down. And maybe as well, I should have established the canter a bit sooner. So I'll take the blame for that one for Storm. Be patient, keep your leg, deep one. But you know, this horse is only really in his first proper season of doing things. He did a young horse class at Addington last year. And actually he was mega there, but I was taking off from all different places and but you can see like he's already probably a little bit tired now, and his default setting would be to go a little bit long and strung out. So I've got to try and just come quietly to things. Whoa, whoa. And then try to stay straighter. Whoa. He's just going to be getting tired now. Good boy. Good boy. Just be really patient, and if they knock a fence down, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it right or they're not doing it right. It's just timing and like getting consistent. To get a good takeoff at a fence takes a lot of practice for us as riders and for them as horses, and it's a surprising amount of time to actually be able to come consistently to a fence and meet it roughly in the same spot. And that is just practice and patience. Good boy. And time to actually get a strong enough canter and physique to be able to stay in a good canter all the way to a takeoff point. So for him there today, he's got quite warm and found that really hard work, and that's just 3 poles and 2 wings, but you can teach them an awful lot just by having very minimal equipment, as long as you're using it in a way that promotes a good rhythm to the fence. Because all I'm trying to do there for him is just come on the same stride and the same canter. And eventually we did get that. But because he's quite go-y, he's got to learn to sit enough on his hind leg with that forwardness, not just try and do things by going fast, I would say.